Well, you're back for more, so you must have had good success with the knit stitch. I'm real excited. It is now time to talk about the purl stitch, which of course I mentioned earlier is a mirror image of the knit stitch. So again, I'm going to show you how to do the purl stitch, and then you are going to go off and practice for a little while. I want you to be able to get some muscle memory around the knit stitch also. So let's take a look at what we've got so far. So I've done a couple of rows here, and you can see that our work is starting to grow. It's actually turning into something. Now it looks the same on the front and the back, and you'll notice that because you're turning it over, you're making turtlenecks on the back side. See all the little turtlenecks right there? And then if you pull the turtlenecks apart, you can see the V-necks in there. So you'll make a V-neck this way, then you'll turn it over, and then you'll make a V-neck this way. Now remember, when you make a V-neck here, it makes a turtleneck on the back. So that's why you've got turtlenecks and V-necks on both sides, because you keep turning it over. And that's exactly what we want to achieve. Okay. Let's talk about the purl stitch. I'm going to get my work all ready. We know that we like to have all of our stitches to be on the left needle if you're a right-handed person. So I'm going to pick this one up. Now, I'm just going to quickly, as a refresher, walk through the steps of the knit stitch. What we did before is we went up into this stitch like this, then we wrapped around it, then we drew down, and then we slipped off. Okay, that's the knit stitch. So I'm going to put this stitch back. Now this time, instead of drawing up where there's 2 needles in one loop, you're going to draw down the needle. So you're going to start at the top and you're going to draw down the needle and go into the stitch the other direction. So now if you look at it, you still have 2 needles in one stitch, but they're pointed in opposite directions, okay? Now we still want to make an X, so we're just going to go like this. But now the bare needle is in the front. Because it's a mirror image, the bare needle was behind. Now it's in the front because everything is opposite. Now the next thing we want to do is we have our live yarn over here, okay? Now you can see if I go to wrap it around like that, it's going to get all tangled in the needles. So when you're first starting this first stitch, your yarn should be in the front. So you want to reach below the X of these needles when you're doing a purl and grab the yarn and pull it to the front like this, okay? So you never want to take it over the top like this to bring it to the front. See how that's adding an extra stitch right there? You always want to follow the natural way of the yarn. You can see it's kind of hanging right there. So I need to scoop it from the front and pull it to the front like this. Okay, all right, now the wrap part is exactly the same. We're on the right side. We're going to bring it between the 2 needles to the left side and then wrap back around. So before we were wrapping on the back needle, but that needle is now in the front, so we're wrapping around the front needle. Okay, now we are going to make our little cross again. Now this is my pen, don't forget. I'm going to touch this needle and I'm going to hold this stitch over here, and then I'm going to draw up through that stitch. I'm going to wiggle in, and then the lifting part to get off is the same, just like that. Okay, so now our yarn is in the front still. That's great. So now we're going to draw down, and then we're going to wrap. We're going to draw upwards, scooch in there, and we're going to lift off. Now, I was teaching an 8-year-old one time, and she told me this: Oh, so when you purl, you dive down into the ocean. So here's the surface of the water. You dive down into the ocean. You grab your purl, which is the wrap around, and then you have to start under the water and surface like this. You come up under the water. Can you believe that? And I have used that ever since. All right, so the mantra you want to say is draw down, wrap, draw up, slip. Draw down, wrap, draw up, and slip. Now let's just very quickly take a look at what we're doing. I'm just going to move this yarn out of the way. This is now making the little turtlenecks facing us. See that? The turtlenecks are now facing us, and if I carefully turn it over, you can see that on the back side, it is now making V-necks, okay? So you can see that the difference between knit and purl is very minute. The 4 steps are the same, but instead of draw up, wrap, draw down, slip, you're drawing down, wrap, draw up, slip. So this can be a little painful to switch your brain back and forth. You're going to want to draw up a lot because you've just been doing that for, like an hour practicing the knit stitch. So take your time and really make sure that you get the purl stitch correct. You'll notice that all of them should have little turtlenecks all the way across. Again, if you mess up and you wrap the wrong way, you'll notice that there's a mistake in there. It's fine. Pull it all out, cast on again, and start over. Now, don't worry about all of this pulling out that I keep telling you. There is a way that you can back out of every single stitch, which I'll show you in a future video. But for now, don't worry about it. It's all about muscle memory. So I want you to go and practice the purl stitch. Once you're comfortable with that, come back. We're going to rip the whole thing out, so don't fall in love with it. And we're actually going to start the scarf pattern.